and welcome to the Buddha and the Coach vlog powered by Soul Performance Academy. I'm your host, Dan Mickle. The Buddha and the Coach is a weekly vlog focused on looking at the teachings of the Buddha through a coaching lens. The Buddha and the Coach is proud to be sponsored by It's Called Normal Athletics. ICN Athletics makes the extraordinary ordinary through adaptive beach volleyball. Everyone should have the opportunity to enjoy and excel at this sport, and ICN offers this through programs and education to make normal for adaptive athletes to play on any court. Help us make the beach volleyball court a place for everybody. For more information or to make a donation to the 501c3 organization, please visit icnathletics.com. That's icnathletics.com. Thank you, and we'll see you in the sand. And again, I want to thank John and Dave and everyone at It's Called Normal Athletics for sponsoring this show and also for everything that they're doing in the adaptive sport world, and especially with adaptive beach volleyball. Check them out, icnathletics.com. It would mean a lot to me. All right, episode 2, here we are. Buddha's teaching in this episode is, if we fail to look at others when they need help, who will look after us? And this is interesting because it can seem counterintuitive, right? Because the whole premise of coaching and competition is that we work really hard to be better than those that we're playing or competing against. The problem is sometimes we take it a little bit too far to the extreme and we play things really, really close to our vest. And I think we miss some great opportunities to help a fellow coach or a program or even athletes grow. And to me, that's what it's really about. Don't get me wrong, I do love winning. I think winning is a great thing and I love the competition. But what we're really here for is to make the athletic world and society in general a better place to live. And that happens by us working together and helping each other. Now, I'm not saying that we have to give them our playbooks and everyone has to be completely on equal footing when it comes to tactics and skills and all that. What I'm saying is when we see a program or another coach struggling, maybe they're having a hard time fielding teams or they're struggling with some sort of concept or actually gameplay, it's actually okay for us as coaches to reach out to them and see if we can help them. And we can be very open and supportive of our coaching community and even our sport community as a whole and not give away all our secrets and our tricks and everything that we plan. But we can help them grow and help them become better. Because we have to remember that we're competitors, but we're not enemies. Sure, we might not get along with everyone, and that's okay, but that shouldn't stop us from helping a struggling program or a struggling coach. And you know the old saying, rising tides raise all ships, and that's what we want, because if our competition becomes better, then we're forced to get better, and that's going to put us at our best. And a lot of times when we help someone else, that is also another way for us to get better because we reinforce some of the things that maybe we have forgotten about. We've forgotten those struggles and the things that we've gone through in the past. And helping another coach could help just kind of rekindle that spark or that fire or even bring that memory back to the front where we remember those times and the troubles that we had. I remember personally when we started one of the boys' high school volleyball programs in the area, we were the new kid on the block, and there were a lot of Hall of Fame coaches, state championship coaches that reached out to us to see what we needed. They would schedule us, scrimmage us, they would help us, kind of handhold our way going through the league and learning what all we had to do. I can't imagine how hard it would have been to start that program if we didn't have that support from the community. And I think as youth sports in the club world grow and get bigger, we're starting to see the cracks and the split in the coaching field and the cooperative aspect of sports. Everyone kind of creates their own little island and their little environment and everything stays in and, don't let anything out. We don't want anyone to know what we're doing, or we don't want visitors coming in and seeing how we're running practice or seeing our playbook and seeing our handbook and our rules, because we think of it so much as a business and we're trying to keep that business edge that we forget why we do it, which is to help the youth athlete, to help the youth coach. Because a lot of us, I know this may be a shock, but a lot of us don't coach full time for a living. So we don't have the time to invest, and all we do are go to seminars and get certifications. A lot of us started out because we were just parents or volunteers that wanted to help a program out. Or maybe a program was going to go away if someone didn't step in and help. That is the majority of the coaching world. It's volunteer. It's part-time. It's the people that are just doing it for the sport and to help it grow. We say all the right things, but when it's time to really help a program out, are you willing? Are you willing to maybe help donate money to your biggest competitor because they're struggling? Or would you be willing to help cover a practice for one of your competitors because maybe something happened, their coaches, especially during, the COVID situation? Maybe you could step in and help coach so their kids wouldn't go coachless for months on end. But have we lost that perspective? And I really, really think that the Buddha teaching here brings that back, kind of refocuses what we all did. Because if you ask anyone, almost anyone, why they started coaching, it's almost always because they love the sport. They wanted to give back to the sport, or they wanted to help kids and help them grow and help them become successful. But as we kind of grow and continue on, we lose sight of that. And I think this teaching, again, if we fail to look after others when they need help, who will look at us? We're not always on the top. Things change in a blink of an eye. Season to season, things change. So what happens when you turned your shoulder to all those people that needed help around you, all those other programs, all those other coaches, and now you're struggling? You need help. Will they be there for you? Hopefully they will be. Hopefully they take that higher road and they forget about that. But that's something that we need to look at. Are we doing the most that we can for our society? And I'm not just talking about global society. I'm talking about our coaching society, our youth sports society, and our players as a society. Are we looking after each other? And then if we break this down even more, are we looking after each other in the sense of our athletes? Are we just thinking of them as players on the team? We hear it all the time. I love my players. I do this for my players. I would hop in the line of danger for my players. But are we willing to do the little stuff when a player's struggling? Maybe they can't make practice because mom lost her job and they have to work to help pay the bills. Are we willing to let them miss practices, miss matches because they have life going on? I think sometimes in this aspect we fail to look for others when we're talking about our athletes, because we think that they should set our sport or what we're doing as their biggest priority. And maybe it isn't, but maybe it's enough to keep them healthy mentally, physically. We need to address that and make sure that sometimes they need the sport more the sport needs them, right? And again, we lose sight of that. We get upset when we feel like they're not focused, but we never ask them why they're not focused. We just assume they're goofing off or they're just not very interested, but maybe they're struggling. Maybe their mental health is struggling. We've seen the uptick in, athlete suicides and the mental health of athletes. So are we looking at your athletes? When's the last time you checked in with your athletes just to see how they were doing? Not to see if they were prepared for practice, not to see if they were ready for the big tournament, just to see how they were doing and what they might be struggling with. And not because they have a complete breakdown at practice. How many times have you done it before that even happens? Just to reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? Is everything okay? It's amazing how just those little words can help someone. I'm here for you. Most of the time we do it when it's too late, when we've seen the signs and things are breaking down. And I think, again, going back to this teaching of the Buddha, if we learned how to take care of others and they in turn take care of us, we're all going to be in a better spot. Socially, athletically, everything that we do. So if you take anything away from this teaching, that's what I want it to be. Let's start looking at how we can help each other. Coaches, teams, administration, parents, everyone. Not just the ones that are directly involved with my program or your program, but your neighboring program, your competition, your competitors. How can we look after them? There are some great schools in my conference that when we show up to games, we get little note cards with messages from their players to our players. And it may seem trivial to some, and I know players don't always think much of it because they're not used to having someone look out after them that's not directly involved with them. They're not used to having a competitor reach out. But I want my competitor to be at their best when we play. And if that means me helping them get there, I will gladly do it. And I think that is really what we need to start looking at. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Coach and the Buddha, or the Buddha and the Coach. Sorry, this is live. I don't edit it. We're just going with it. So I'll mess up once in a while. You can call me out in the comments, but please, let's have a discussion about this. I don't want to create content just so you watch these quick videos and that's it. Send something in the comments down below. Click something, share it, like it, subscribe, whatever. But let's start to have conversations about all of this. Let's stop having conversations about this when we read about an athlete's suicide or an athlete struggling or someone quitting the team because they're mentally not able to focus anymore. Let's actually have conversations now, ahead of time. Let's get back to that community that we all say that's why we got involved. But is it really there? I hope it is. I believe it is. That's my crusade. I want to reinvigorate the youth sports community. The coaches, the parents, the players, the referees, the administration, everyone. Let's look after each other and see how we can help them. That way, when we need help, someone's there. Again, thanks for checking in to episode 2. Don't forget to visit our sponsors, ICN. It's called Normal Athletics at icnathletics.com. And I will see you next week for episode 3. Peace, love, and don't suck.